gotta focus on yourself, on your faith, on your dreams, on your mind, on your health, yeah. You gotta work, never tell, keep your head down, find what you love and excel, yeah. Push and pull.
Huawei has officially unveiled its latest flagship smartphone, the Huawei Pura 90 Pro Max, and one of its biggest highlights is the huge dual-pixel telephoto camera built for capturing incredibly sharp long-range shots. But beyond the camera hardware, there's another feature that deserves a lot more attention. During the announcement, Huawei revealed that the phone can process 200-megapixel raw data in real time at the chip level. Put simply, the phone uses that ultra-high-resolution data to make zoomed-in videos appear significantly clearer and more detailed than what we're used to seeing on smartphones. The Pura series has always been the place where Huawei experiments with ambitious camera technology. Going all the way back to 2019, the Huawei P30 Pro introduced the periscope zoom lens. A year later, the Huawei P40 Pro pushed things further with 10x optical zoom. Since then, Huawei has continued exploring unusual ideas, from dark lens technology to dual display concepts. This lineup has consistently focused on innovation, which naturally raises the question with the Pura 90 Pro Max, how much better is it compared to the previous Ultra model? Does it simply match that experience, or does it actually take things to another level? And in everyday use, what does the phone really feel like? Big thanks to my tech partner over in China for providing this footage. I really appreciate the support in making this video happen. Hey everyone, Stella here from techiestreet. If you're into staying updated with the newest gadgets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our latest tech content. Even before launch day, the design became one of the hottest topics online. The unit we have here is the black and orange-blue version, and honestly, it's probably the most visually striking option. Near the top, the finish starts with a cool, icy blue tone that gradually transitions downward. As it fades, you get this warm orange shade that almost resembles the ocean during sunset, right before nightfall when the water reflects that soft orange light. What makes the design stand out even more is how the color transition extends beyond the rear panel and flows directly into the frame itself. That seamless two-tone effect is something you rarely see on modern smartphones. The blending between the frame and the back feels incredibly polished, and depending on the lighting and viewing angle, the colors subtly shift. It gives the impression that the phone is constantly changing appearance in your hand. Now, moving over to the cameras, the telephoto setup is clearly the star of the show from a hardware perspective. Huawei equipped it with a massive 200-megapixel 1/1.28-inch CMOS sensor paired with a bright f.26 aperture. It also features Huawei's Hi-Fi SEPA technology, which is designed to improve light intake. Huawei even claims this telephoto lens gathers roughly 5 times more light than the one found on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. On paper, at least, this makes it one of the strongest 200-megapixel telephoto systems currently available in the flagship smartphone market. But specs only tell part of the story. What really matters is how the camera performs in real situations, so we put it through a range of sample tests. At 4x zoom, the improvement is already easy to spot. One image appears cleaner overall, with sharper wall textures and noticeably better detail in things like flowers. Edges look more refined, and image noise is handled much more effectively. Once you switch into the 4x high-resolution mode, the gap becomes even more obvious when you crop into the images. At first glance, both shots may simply look different stylistically, but when you start paying attention to the fine details, the extra resolution really begins to show its advantage. Stepping up to 10x zoom, the benefits of that 200-megapixel sensor become even clearer. Small details like cracks in walls and wood grain textures remain sharp and easy to distinguish. Meanwhile, the competing image begins losing edge definition, and many of the finer textures start to disappear. At 20x zoom, especially during well-lit evening conditions, the difference grows even larger. Flower petals appear sharper, background buildings look cleaner, and overall detail remains more intact. Color reproduction feels more realistic and closer to what your eyes would naturally see. In comparison, the rival image introduces more visible noise and the main subject appears softer overall. For larger nighttime scenes, the strengths shift slightly. Wide shots benefit from improved exposure handling, but this is also where differences in highlights and shadow retention become easier to notice. The Pura 90 Pro Max does a better job balancing bright areas while still preserving details in darker parts of the scene, especially under warmer lighting conditions. Its macro performance also helps significantly when shooting close-up subjects at night. And speaking of close-ups, the telephoto camera can focus from roughly 20 centimeters away. That gives users much more flexibility for detailed macro-style shots, while competing devices don't really offer the same level of consistency or optimization for telephoto macro photography. When it comes to standard shots from the main camera, most flagship smartphones today are already very close in daylight performance. Even so, in certain scenes, the Pura 90 Pro Max still manages to edge ahead slightly with better detail and resolution. Night photography is where the differences become more noticeable again. Dynamic range and white balance start playing a much bigger role, and here, Huawei tends to deliver warmer tones more accurately. Things like signs and illuminated elements appear brighter and more defined. Now we get to video performance, and this is where the phone becomes especially interesting. Huawei is introducing real-time raw domain processing for the telephoto camera, something we haven't really seen implemented like this before. The concept sounds straightforward, but achieving it is extremely difficult. Unlike photos, which can be processed after capture, video requires every frame to be processed instantly in real time. Even a slight delay would create lag or stuttering during recording and preview. The challenge comes from the huge amount of data generated by the CMOS sensor. That information normally needs to pass through several different components, including the ISP and the NPU for AI-related processing. Since these are separate hardware units, moving data between them takes time and bandwidth, which increases latency. That's also why most smartphones rely on pixel binning methods like 4-in-1 or 16-in-1 during video capture to reduce the processing load, although doing so also sacrifices sharpness during zoom. Huawei approaches this differently on the Pura 90 Pro Max. When zooming while recording video, the footage remains noticeably sharper compared to many other flagship phones, including devices that promote 8K recording capabilities. The improvement in clarity is almost immediate. A major reason is the Kirin 9030S processor. Huawei developed a custom ISP architecture that combines tasks like AI-assisted image processing and spatiotemporal noise reduction directly within the ISP pipeline itself, instead of relying heavily on the NPU. Rather than sending data back and forth between multiple components, the system handles everything in one streamlined process. This lowers latency, reduces power consumption, and allows the phone to use higher resolution image data in real time, even while zooming during video recording.
On top of all that, the Gallery app now comes with a brand new 3D dynamic photo effect. When you use the time travel photo mode and the phone detects movement from your subject while taking the shot, it gives you the option to turn that image into a 3D style photo directly inside the gallery. After a short processing time, the result creates that smooth, cinematic wraparound motion effect that's been all over social media lately. Huawei has also improved its AI pose recommendation system. At first glance, it may sound like a feature we've already seen on other phones, but in actual use, it feels much smarter and more adaptive than basic pose templates. The system studies the environment around the subject along with their movements, then suggests poses that fit the scene while even adjusting the focal length automatically to improve composition. If you simply follow the on-screen guidance while shooting, you'll usually get a really polished-looking photo. It's especially useful when someone else is taking pictures for you because it gives them a clear visual reference to follow. You can also customize the experience further. If there's a photo style you really like, you can save that image and use it as a preset for future shots. That makes it easy to recreate a similar look whenever you want. We even asked a professional photographer to try the feature, and his response was surprisingly positive. According to him, the AI pose guidance is genuinely practical, particularly during the beginning of a shoot, because it reduces the need to constantly think about framing and composition. As a supporting tool, it helps speed up the process while making posing and shot setup much easier. Shifting over to the display, the Huawei Pura 90 Pro Max introduces some noticeable upgrades here as well. Beyond improved durability, Huawei seems heavily focused on reducing reflections this time around. Since anti-reflective screens are becoming more common, we wanted to find out how effective Huawei's implementation actually is. For comparison, we first checked the iPhone 17 Pro Max. It produced rich black levels, and during testing, reflections from a white light source showed no obvious color tinting. We then used an integrating sphere to measure reflectivity, which resulted in an SDI reading of 1.44 and an SE value of 0.35. If those figures don't immediately mean much, here's a better point of reference. The iPhone 17 Pro Max, which already has a reputation for excellent anti-reflective performance, usually measures around 3.3 for SDI and roughly 0.52 for SE. So how does that translate into everyday use? Side-by-side comparisons make the difference pretty obvious. Under identical conditions, with brightness fixed at 300 nits and automatic brightness enabled to simulate strong outdoor environments, the Huawei display reflected noticeably less light than a typical flagship phone. Even compared directly with the iPhone, the reduction in reflections was easy to see. As for the display itself, we also ran a quick quality test. Peak brightness on a white screen reached around 645 nits, while full screen brightness climbed to approximately 1660 nits. Viewing angles also looked excellent, with no visible color shifting even from the sides, which is always something you want to see on a premium display. We also recorded some video playback footage to show how the screen performs during actual use. On the software side, Harmony OS 6.1 introduces a few interesting additions. One standout feature is the new live viewing theme. Once enabled, you can press and hold the screen for about a second, and the system activates the camera to create a live interactive wallpaper. Instead of using a static background, the wallpaper changes dynamically based on whatever the camera is seeing. For instance, pointing the phone at the sky changes the tones and colors displayed on the screen. Even slight hand movements subtly shift the interface, making the whole experience feel more immersive. There's also a fun new martial arts master icon built into the interface. Rather than staying static, it reacts as you swipe around the screen. Tapping different parts of the character, like the head or body, triggers unique animations, and while music is playing, it even moves along with the rhythm. It's a small touch, but it definitely adds more personality and energy to the software experience. Underneath all the visual upgrades, Huawei has also improved core functionality. Connectivity now includes upgraded 5A capabilities, helping the phone maintain stronger and more stable connections in weak signal areas such as elevators. Security has been enhanced too, with additions like heartbeat contrast and a rapid 5-second verification feature designed to make everyday use feel more safer and reliable. As part of Huawei's premium ecosystem, the Pura and Mate series have always prioritized photography, but seamless device integration is another major strength. Take the recently released Huawei AI glasses as an example. They connect directly with the phone and allow you to access the Xiao Yi assistant instantly. During video calls, you can even switch to the glasses' built-in camera, and any photos or videos captured automatically sync to your phone's gallery in the background. Since the device runs Huawei's latest software and supports expanded storage, we also wanted to see how the Kirin 9030S performs alongside 16 GB of RAM. For testing, we loaded up our standard setup with 25 background apps, including 6 different games, along with a mix of everyday applications. Even after returning to the home screen, which usually forces some apps to close, the phone still kept 23 apps active in memory. Out of the 6 games, only Genshin Impact and Honor of Kings were closed, while the remaining apps stayed open without issues. Reopening them also felt smooth and responsive. Battery life looks solid too. The phone packs a 6,000 mAh battery, and after 5 hours of testing, there was still 48% remaining. For most users, getting through an entire day on a single charge shouldn't be a problem at all. Overall, the Huawei Pura 90 Pro Max has a very clear focus. On one hand, it pushes smartphone photography further with powerful camera hardware, and on the other, it uses AI features to make taking great-looking photos much easier for everyday users. Long-range photography in particular sees major improvements, giving users more flexibility when composing shots. Features like AI pose guidance and assisted framing help reduce the effort needed to capture strong photos consistently. From a design perspective, both the hardware styling and the software interface give the phone a very recognizable identity that stands out immediately. In terms of pricing, Huawei has also positioned it fairly competitively. The Huawei Pura 90 Pro Max starts at 6,499 yuan in China, which works out to roughly £705 in the UK and around $953 in the US. And that wraps things up for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!